Well, hello. It seems that everyone these days are looking for ways that they can freshen up or modernize their home a little bit. Colors of paint are always popular because people run through fads quite often and they'll decide they need to change the room up. So that's one way to do it. And I decided I was going to update the second floor, which includes carpeting and a lot of simple little stuff like that, painting, restoring the basic colors it was before for the most part. But one thing I want to do was change out my old kind of dated color of yellow brass doorknob. They're just kind of contractor grade hardware. It looks perhaps a little more chromish than it does bright yellow brass, but it's actually, that's the finish of it. And I decided to go with a quick set Cove series of doorknob, and I think there's 12 of them or so up there. So I ordered some online. I got a brown box version. This is the Cove style knob, and I found the same thing over here at my big box store in a clear package. But you'd be surprised to find out these are not the same doorknobs, even though their passage or their privacy, they're not exactly the same doorknobs. The brown box is a little more versatile. I prefer it for some very obvious reasons I show you in there, that other than the fact it was a little bit cheaper. Now, my invoice doesn't quite match my prices on the website. It doesn't look like I received the sale price for either series of knobs that I bought. However, they still managed to save me money over the local store in the clear plastic package. I also have to get hinges because I have the brass colored hinges, and most of them had paint on them, overspray paint on them from when the contractor built this house. So here are two that I use. These I picked up from Lowe's or something. Well, maybe one of them was from somewhere else. About the same price. 12 of them for about $27, $28. I have 3 hinges per door, so that would bring kind of around $25 or so per door. And I wanted to take them off the hinge. In fact, take the hinges off to paint them so that I could clean them up quite a bit. Might as well go ahead and change the door hardware or whatever. Makes a difference impression about the whether or not the space has been updated or just been maintained. So please click like and subscribe. If you think this shows you something that you don't see in anybody else's doorknob video, please give me a little credit for that. Show me a little love and subscribe to these, because I try to show things that haven't quite been done before. Chances are, if you're going to do some remodel or refresh, you'll find out when you take your doors off that the door hinges most likely will be numbered like this from when they built the house. Now, as I update the hardware, the door hardware, the knobs, I also need to update the hinges, else they look really goofy. So we have to take the doors off. Now, it becomes easier when you take them off, and it does a neater job to take the hinges off and paint them. But then we just want to number the door. Well, we don't want to marker on where we're going to paint because it'll bleed through a lot of cases. So we mark in the white spot, or behind the hinge, on both the door and the hinge place on the frame. But a common place you might do is either on the top or the bottom of the door, and you just marker right there. If it bleeds a little bit, it's not going to be too bad. But that'll match up the door when you go back put them together. Now I want to show you something. This is a closet door, a very small closet door, but a bigger door can be a little harder to align. So if you use a little pry bar, we can set the bottom of the door on the pry bar, and then with our old worn out sneaker, we can lift it up to get it just right to help put the first couple of screws in. You can also use just blocks at the end if you have something about the right height. And on the hinges, if you'll notice, this one, when you look to buy them, they'll be measured this way. Measure the height, count the holes, and of course you want to make sure that the pins are removable.
I personally like the pins that are removable. And of course you'll notice that this radius right here, there are different radiuses. There's a tight radius and a fat radius. And I think that's 5/8 and that's a 3 1/4 or 3 3/4 hinge, I forget. But anyway, just measure them and you know which ones to get. But I talked a little bit about the screw holes. We can come over here. This is a privacy lock. So it's got the little hole to unlock the door from the other side. But also, it gives you the opportunity to use a screwdriver to take the knob off in case the door malfunctions somehow with the hardware. You can just take the lock apart and then operate the internals to unlatch the door. See, now this is a passage, but see the way the door swings? If you have it this way, you don't have to see those ugly screws. You can just do it that way because you can always knock the pin out and just take the door off the hinge. Now I'm not going to take this one off to show you, but this is a retail pack versus the brown box or the contractor pack, and you'll notice a difference in how this knob was made than the others. This one is just like the Callan. You actually have to take the screws out to put this in, which takes more time, and you don't have the extra part for the other style of door, which would have the square instead of the rounded corners. While this is a quick set Cove series, most door hardware is strikingly similar. Get it? Okay. So what we see on this part of the door, you'll see that square versus the little round. Obviously your door is going to be one or the other. And this is not needed. It's probably going to be used on a metal door, as most likely that square is too. But you don't really know. I'm sure there's some wood ones out there. Now with the quick set, we just put this back plate in that holds it, and then we'll pick the one of our choosing, this guy, and snap on top. Now as you can see from this, this is the door hardware. It is, like I say, it's a Cove series. This is a passage. You see there's no privacy lock in there. The little spoonbill can only go in the other half one way, and of course it has 2 screws. But one of the things I like about this series of door hardware, you see how that little slot is, and I can't do this one-handed and hold the phone too, but this outer ring that goes against the door, you see you don't have to take those 2 screws out. You just adjust them in about right where the shoulders are, and then you just put it in there and you can twist, and do you see that little slot? So you don't have to take them all the way out. So it's super fast to put this particular series of door knobs in. Now I've taken a little break because I had to change cameras in order to show you this kind of live action. Now we've got the piece in the door, and I'll tell you there's no way you're going to miss this part because it swings. The ramp is always in the direction of it closing. Now you may not pay much attention to that, but believe it or not, if you're doing a bunch of them and worry about scheduling what all, you can actually put one of those upside down and you'll figure it out. Then you got to take the whole doorknob off. It's just kind of silly, but just
pay a little attention when you do that. You'll never have that happen to you. Now, as I said, this is, I think, the old Callan, one of the old Callans. And see, the way it's made is it's got these two screws. And the problem with the two screws is you just have to back them all the way off and put them on. What I like about the Cove series, the Quickset series, now I have turned these two screws in so that they're shorter, so that when I put it through the door, it's about where the shoulder is, because this guy works where I don't ever have to take these long screws out. I do have to turn it so that the duckbill is in, and then the whole thing, head and all, goes through there. Now watch this. This is, if I keep this in the camera without getting my big old belly in there, put this on, and then this type of doorknob just slides like that. You see? Now we only have to turn them just a little bit right here and tighten them right on up. That's just how easy this particular brand and particular style happens to be. If I get it in there. It's hard to do anything when you try and do it on camera. Now let's go ahead and test it out. It's a doorknob. It works. Alright. Appreciate you watching.